Imagine pulling through a 20-degree heat wave. 3 brutal days back to back, and not one soul had air conditioning to hide behind. Yet, they came out just fine. Slept soundly, worked their shifts, and kept their homes bearable through the absolute worst of it. It wasn't luck, and they didn't just tough it out. They survived because they knew the old ways of meeting a fierce summer, the kind of wisdom most folks nowadays have clean forgotten. I'm giving you those exact methods today. The whole blueprint for keeping a body cool with no machinery at all. You might just need them sooner than you think, and they'll cost you next to nothing. Where I live on our family place, we don't keep any tie to the public power grid. That means zero central AC, ever. Summer in and summer out. When the heat rolls in with a vengeance, we meet it the way my grandparents and their parents did before them. Quick whir school my family relies on involve way more than can fit into one video. So I gathered the whole story into a book over at my website. That's the long version. If you want it, it's there, and I won't mention it again. My grandmother could feel the turn of day's heat, the way some folks feel rain coming in their knees. By mid-morning, her shades were down without her even thinking about it. The house went dim, quiet, and cool against the climbing sun, and she wouldn't dream of throwing it all open again until the evening finally chilled. Her hot cooking went straight out to the summer kitchen, so the house never felt a degree of it. The butter and milk stayed down in the spring house over the cold running water. On the worst nights, she'd hand each of us kids a cold, wet cloth at the back of our necks and send us down to the creek right before bed. As a boy, I thought nothing of it. It was just how summer was lived. It took growing up to realize she was practicing a whole art of staying cool, an art with no machine in it anywhere. And that is the craft I'm handing over to you now. Start with the single rule the whole thing hangs on, and it's so simple folks overlook it. Shut the house against the day. Open it to the night. Through the blistering hours, when it's hotter out than in, you button the place up tight, sealing yesterday's cool inside every window and door. But shutting the windows is only half the battle. The sun cutting through the glass is what truly bakes a house. You have to darken it too. Pull the blinds, draw the curtains, and if you don't have them, tack an old bed sheet or a quilt over the worst windows. Mind the west windows above all. That low afternoon sun comes through them like fire laid right at the hottest time of day. Treat the east ones the same in the morning. Northern windows trouble you least of all, and the south ones you can shade with a simple roof overhang. Learn which panes the sun actually strikes through the day and guard those hardest. There's no sense darkening a window that stays in the shade while leaving a blazing one bare. Better still is stopping that sun outside the glass, an awning, a shutter, an exterior shade, anything that turns the sun back before it ever passes through. Once it's through the glass, that heat is already yours to deal with. Come evening, you wait. Don't throw the windows wide the second the sun drops. The air out there might still be hotter than your guarded indoors, and you'll just undo your day's work. Wait until the night has truly cooled below your rooms, often well after dark. Then open everything, let the cool flood until dawn, and shut it all up early before the new day's heat can climb. Get in that daily rhythm, and you've won half the battle before doing one thing more. Remember, there's more to a house holding its cool than just the air. The very walls and floors drink up the nighttime chill and hold it. Give it back slow through the hot day. That thermal mass is why a heavy old stone house or a deep cellar stays cool when a flimsy modern box bakes. The longer and wider you open the house to the deep night, the more that cool soaks in the bones of the place, carrying you through the next day's heat. The hours right before dawn are the coldest of all, so don't shut up too soon in your eagerness. Let that coolest air fill the house right up to morning, and only then close it against the day. There's a small habit that goes with this and saves you more than you'd guess. Mind your doors on the worst days. Every time an exterior door swings open in that heat, a great gush of hot air can flood in to spoil the cool you've been hoarding. On a brutal day, go in and out, as lit as you can. When you must, do it smart. I've heard of families coming home from the store on a scorching afternoon with a plan worked out. Every soul grabs an armload at the car. They open that door exact, fly through quick, and shut it fast behind them, rather than making a dozen lazy trips, each bleeding the cool away. If a door must be used through the day, use the one on the shaded north side where the air against it is coolest. A small thing, but on the hottest days, small things are the whole of it. The same goes for any other way. Hot air sneaks in, all cool air leaks out. A door left ajar, a gap under a windowsill, or a baking attic overhead pouring its heat down through the ceiling. Old houses were built with deep porches to shade the walls from the high sun, and vented at a cupola to let trap heat escape out the top rather than press down in the living rooms. Heat rises, gas up high. If your upstairs attic bakes, yes sir, bakes, getting that hot air vented out the top does the whole house a kindness. Now, here is the heart of it. The one thing I want you to remember above all else. It's a total shift in how you think. You do not need to cool your whole house to be comfortable. You only need to cool your own body. Think about it. A machine labors to chill every single cubic foot of air in a massive house, all just to comfort the few souls living inside it. It's a fearful waste. But cool the one body that matters, your own. And you're perfectly comfortable while the house stays as warm as it likes. Cooling the body is the simplest thing in the world. Take a cloth, wet it, chill it in cold well water or down in your cellar and lay it on the back of your neck. You'll marvel at how fast the whole of you cools down. The neck is the place because the blood runs shallow there, close under the skin. The cool passes straight in your bloodstream and is carried round your whole body in a moment. The wrists are such a place too, under the arms, and the feet, any spot where the blood runs near the surface. Keep a few cloths chilling at the same time and rotate them out as they warm against you. One cloth alone warms quick and loses its use, but 3 or 4 in rotation will keep you cool as long as you please. On a night too hot to sleep, a cold cloth at your neck or laid on your chest with a fan playing across you will carry you right off to sleep, even if you were tossing and turning just moments before. There's no mystery to why it works. It's the exact same thing your own sweat does. When water evaporates off a surface, it carries the heat away with it. A damp cloth in moving air is just giving your body's natural cooling system a helping hand. I learned it young, laboring in a workshop hot as a forge, where a wet rag round the neck was the single way to last the shift. The old teamers in the hay fields knew it long before me, a wet handkerchief at the throat through the burning work of the harvest. To be honest, this evaporative cooling works best in a dry heat, where the air is thirsty and pulls the moisture off you fast. It works less well in a heavy, wet heat where the air is already so full of water it can take a little more. That's the exact reason a dry 100 degrees is bearable and a wet 90 is pure misery. In dry country, a wet cloth and a breeze will cool you wonderfully. In soaking, humid country, it helps less. And there you lean harder on deep shade, a cool cellar and moving air. Know which heat you fight, and you'll know which tools serve you best. So, light, loose clothing, cool water on the wrists at the neck, and you are a comfortable man in a warm house. Having comfortable man in a warm house, that's the old way of it. You look after the body, not the building. It's a free thing to learn because it means the summer heat holds far less power over you than you fear. You aren't at the mercy of a machine that might fail or a power bill you can scarce pay. You carry your own comfort in a wet cloth and a bit of knowing wherever you are. The next thing folks never think of is the furnace standing right in the middle of their own kitchen, the stove and the oven. In the dead of summer, baking and boiling meals all day pours intense heat into your house and holds it there for hours. On a hot day, that's the last thing you want, however welcome it would become January. The rule through a heat wave is, don't cook your house hot. Where you can, cook by gentle, slow ways that don't blast out heat. If you must run the big heat of the oven, zoe it of an evening, never the morning. Heat laid in the house at morning bakes there all the long day, while heat made at evening you can carry straight back out the open windows in the cooling night. But the fines answer, and the oldest one, is to put the cooking out of the house entirely during the hot months. Old farmhouses had their summer kitchens for just this, a lit outbuilding or a porch set apart where all the hot weather cooking and canning was done so. The heat never came near the rooms where the family lived and slept. You can keep that same wisdom in your own way by cooking outdoors. A fire pit, a grill, or an outdoor hearth set in the shade lets you cook meals and even bake in a Dutch oven over coals without sending one single degree of heat into your house. Take the canning, especially outside. Put up the summer harvest means hours of boiling kettles in the hot stretch of the year, enough to make an oven of any kitchen. And don't forget the cool suppers of summer either. The cold meats, breads, salads, and ripe fruits of the season. A cold plate on a hot night is no hardship and heats the house not at all. The old people ate light and cool in the heat, saving their heavy baking for the cold of the year, which is both the wholesome way and the wise one. Set yourself a proper outdoor spot for it, a table to work at, and your coals in the shade, and bring everything you need out at once, so you aren't forever running back inside and letting the heat in each trip. There's a real pleasure in it too. Cooking out under the trees of a summer evening, with the breeze moving about, beats sweating over a hot stove indoors any day. What began as a way to spare the house turns out to be the sweeter way to pass a hot evening. Some of the best cooling is the kind you plant and wait years for, and that's a shade tree set on the hot sides of the house, the west and the south, where the afternoon sun is cruelest. Such a tree will shade your roof and walls from the worst of the heat better than any machine ever made. And here's the cleverness in it. You choose a tree that drops its leaves in winter. In summer, it stands thick with leaves and throws deep shade across your house through the blazing afternoons. But come winter, it sheds them bare, letting the low sun through to warm you when you want warming. The same tree cools you in July and warms you in January. It's the longest lasting comfort there is, planted once, shading your house and your grandchildren's house for 100 years. It takes its time to grow, so the wisdom is the old wisdom. The best day to have planted was long ago, and the next best day is today. It need not be only a tree either. A vine will do the same thing and do it faster. Old climbing things trained up over a sunny porch or a trellis by a hot window will leaf out thick to shade you through summer and die back in the winter to let the sun return. A grapevine or a hardy climber over an arbor by the south wall gives you dense green shade in 1 or 2 seasons where a tree wants 10, and you get fruit besides. The old people grew vines over the porch for just this cool green shade in the heat and bare sticks letting the winter sun through. There is always water, which cools a body like nothing else on earth. A creek, a pond, a stock tank, the deep cellar you can step down into, or a basin of cold well water for your feet in evening. The feet cool the whole of you near, as well as the neck. So soaking your feet in cold water on the porch of a summer evening cools you all over more than you think. Seek the cool, low place on the worst days. The cellar, the shaded north side of the house, and the deep shade of tree run far cooler than the open yard or the upstairs where the heat gathers and sits. Live low and shaded when it's fierce. Rest in the coolest room and sleep downstairs or out on the porch if your upstairs bakes. As many an old family did, carrying the bedding down to the cool on the worst nights and thinking nothing of it. Do your hard work, if you have work that must be done, in the cool of the early morning or the evening, and rest through the worst heat of the afternoon. The old farmers were up and laboring at first light, took their ease in the shade through the burning middle of the day, and worked again as it cooled toward evening. That's plain sense. To spend yours when it's cool and spare yours when it's hot, rather than laboring through the furnace of noon and wearing your body down. The countries that know real heat have always lived that way, early and late, and resting in the shade between. You'll say a plain word too on why all this got forgotten. It's not some wicked plot. It's just the plain way of things. There is money to be made selling machine, and the power to feed it all summer long, and none at all to be made teaching a man to shade his windows, wet his neck, and cook out of doors. So the machine got all the telling, the talking, and the selling year upon year, until folks half believe a body cannot live through a hot day without one. But that is plainly false. Whole generation lived through worse heat than most of us will ever feel with not a machine among them. They didn't perish. They kept cool, slept sound, and went about their work by nothing but the knowing. The knowing was simply allowed to slip away, because no one stood to profit by keeping alive. So that is the whole of meeting a fierce heat without a machine. Shut and shade the house through the day, open it to the night, and guard your doors. Cool your own body before your house, a cold, wet cloth at the neck and wrists, and let the drying of it carry your heat off. Keep a fan playing over you at night. Keep your cooking heat out of the house, cooking cool, late, or best of all, out of doors the old summer kitchen way. Plant your shade tree for the long years and go to the water and the cool, low places when the heat is at its worst. Do these and you will be a cool and easy man through the fiercest summer. Your house will be bearable, your sleep sound, and your bill a small fraction of your neighbors who never learned there was another way. I would dearly like to hear how the heat treats you where you live and how you fight it. Write me below me how hot your summer's run is, or stay close and warm, and whether you'll give the cold cloth at the neck a try the next sleepless, hot night. Tell me what part of the country you write from while you're at it, for the dry heat and the wet are two different beasts to fight, and I learn a great deal from where you all sit when you write. I have it in mind to show you next a good deal more about cutting that summer power bill down well past the cooling alone, all the quiet little ways a house bleeds money and power through the hot months, and how the old people kept their costs down near to nothing through a long summer. Through every brute summer that ever was, before there was a machine to run from it, folks shaded their houses, wetted their necks, carried their cooking out of doors, and planted their trees. And they came through cool, whole, and unafraid of the heat. There is a quiet strength in knowing the summer cannot beat you, that you can meet the worst it brings with your own two hands and a little inherited sense, and never once depend on a machine or dread the bill it brings. The people who built this country with their hands knew that